Welcome back to Cloud 2K, and this is the Cloud Report. So today, you saw in the title, I'm talking about the Denver Nuggets, a team that, to start the season was looking kind of rough. Michael Porter Jr. was struggling very, very badly. Jamal Murray was struggling very, very badly as he did to end the season, into the playoffs, into the summer. Jamal Murray was just not very good this really for the past year. They let KCP walk in the offseason. A lot of people thought that was going to be a huge, huge loss. And to start the season, it might have looked like it. But now this team, since January 1st, are combined 18-6. By record, the best team in the entire NBA since, again, the beginning of the calendar year. And I thought, you know what? I made a video on this team back in the beginning of the season about how they got off to a rough start and they were struggling. I said I should do my due diligence of coming back and talking about how, you know what? This team is looking really, really damn good. Do I think they're a favorite out of the Western Conference? I don't know. OKC has really got the conference locked up right now. But this Denver Nuggets team is very, very dangerous because they have the best player in the entire world on their team. So, like I mentioned before, on this season, their offense is rated number 3. 119.5 offensive rating, only behind the New York Knicks at 119.9 and the Cleveland Cavaliers at 121.9. Defense rating, obviously, they're 16th. They're pretty much middle of the pack. Having a Nikola Jokić-led defense usually just isn't going to be super great. I mean, they're middle of the pack, so you can hope you can win with that. But against a lot of the bigs in the Western Conference, it's just going to be tough. It's going to be really, really tough when they kind of struggle to defend the paint and they don't have exactly a lot of perimeter defense. Especially when you let go of a guy like KCP, who was probably your best perimeter defender. Now Christian Braun, who I'll talk about a little bit later, has really stepped up as the seasons went along and been probably their best perimeter defender, but again, still not quite as good as a KCP. But like I mentioned, since the beginning of the year, they've been the best team in the NBA, in my opinion. In the month of January, they won 11-6. They had the number 2 offense in the NBA, 120.7 on behind the Cleveland Cavaliers. And then defensively, of course, they're I think still middle of the pack at 18. So defense, whatever. In February, before the All-Star break, they are 7-0. They are 7-0 in the month of February with the number 1 offense in the league at 128.1. Again, only a 7-game sample size, so you don't want to. How much weight do you take in that? I don't know, but the first half of this month, they were absolutely phenomenal. And then defensive net rating at 110 has them at number 9. So again, their defense has even been top 10 in the month of February. Again, only 7 games. On the defense side of the ball, you have to take a top 10 defense in any type of stretch for this Nuggets team as like, okay, we'll take it. We're good. You know what I mean? A lot of that obviously is revolving around the big man, Nikola Jokić, I think the best player in the league, still having arguably his best season, averaging 29.8 points. We'll give him 30. 30 points, 12.5 rebounds, 10.2 assists, almost 2 steals a game, 0.7 blocks. I mean, if you really want to care about that. Shooting 45% from 3 on 4.5 attempts. Also, I mean, he's shooting 61% from the floor, which is really lower since the beginning part of his career. But again, shooting 45% on 4.5 threes a game is Nikola Jokić. I think right now Shea might be the MVP candidate leader, but Jokić is just, he's still in that race, man. And like, obviously, I don't think people are going to vote him this year. I mean, he's won it 3 the past 4 years. In the year he didn't win it, Embiid won it. He was second in voting. And I think he's going to end up second in voting again this year, not because he doesn't deserve it, but because Shea is having such a phenomenal season as well. This is just going to be one of those years where somebody that deserves it is not going to get it, unfortunately. But that's okay. Again, he's a 3-time MVP. He'll probably be back there for the next couple of years. Also, somebody else I want to point out, I'm a personal big fan of this guy. I have been his entire career. He's went through years. The past couple of years has been really, really rough for this guy. He comes to this Denver Nuggets team, and you're like, okay, how does he fit with a Jokić? Well, if anybody can maximize his opportunity, it's going to be Nikola Jokić, and that is Russell Westbrook, who in the 48 games he's played this season, I know he's been injured for about the past, 2 or so weeks-ish, but 13 points, 5 rebounds, 6.5 assists, a steal and a half a game, shooting 33% on 3.5 threes, which, I mean, Russell Westbrook's never really been a crazy three-point shooter, but 33%, you got to take that 55% from the floor. He's just been so good, and they were really good when they put him into the starting lineup. Was when I think they made the big turnaround this season. They moved Aaron Gordon to the bench. They put Russell Westbrook in the starting lineup, and it seemed like, for the most part, it worked. Now, Russell Westbrook, when Jokić wasn't on the court, still had his moments where, like, oh, yeah, this guy's definitely taken a step back from where we're used to. But he just has a really, really good pairing with Nikola Jokić, and I think it's helped bring the rest of the team up around him, seeing, Russell Westbrook take that big step. Also, another guy I want to talk about, Michael Porter Jr., having arguably his best season in his career. 19 points, 6.5 rebounds, 2 assists, which is a career high. He's never had over 2 assists at all. He's at 2.2 this year, so you gotta take that. Shooting 41 points, almost 42% from three on 6.5 threes a game. Again, he started the season not very good, but he's since turned it up as well. And this entire Denver Nuggets team just looks so good. They're gonna have a top level offense, man. You have shooters in Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., Russell Westbrook's been really, really good. Aaron Gordon definitely has not had the season I think a lot of people expected going into it, but he still has his moments. Again, they have probably the best offensive engine in the entire NBA behind Nikola Jokić, so it makes sense that these guys are good, and them getting off to a rough start was just a lot of people struggling. And again, a guy I mentioned earlier was Christian Braun. I've heard it pronounced both ways, I don't know. One of the big things in the offseason was that they let KCP go. And the past couple years, the Nuggets have let go of guys like Bruce Brown, KCP, and you're like, man, these guys are really important to their perimeter defense. What are you going to do without it? And a lot of it was put on to Christian Braun this season as, listen, you need to step up into the starting lineup as the 2 guard, at least until they started moving around they started moving it around. But, and like, you need to really be that defensive menace for us. And right now, he's having a good season. He's averaging 15 points, 5.1 rebounds, and 2.2 assists a game, still being probably their best, if not second best, perimeter defender on the entire team. And KCP in Orlando has just not had a very good season, averaging about 9 points a game, and he's shooting 41% from the floor and 31% from three. KCP is a guy we've known for years as a 3-and-D player, and in this Orlando Magic team, he's just not been able to knock down the 3 ball, so his value's gone down drastically. And you know what, this Denver Nuggets team, I think is very, very happy with the production they've gotten from Christian Braun. Then, of course, probably the biggest determining factor outside of Nikola Jokić was Jamal Murray going into the season. Like I mentioned before, to end the season last year in the playoffs, of course, other than his game winners against the Lakers, and then in the FIBA in the offseason, or in the Olympics in the offseason, Jamal Murray was not good. And again, he started off the season not very good, but he's now up to 21 points, 4 rebounds, whatever, 6 assists, but he's also shooting 37% from three on about 6 attempts a game, 5.7 attempts a game. And again, the way he started the season was really, really rough. But again, I think behind the Russell Westbrook kind of infusion into the starting lineup has really helped the rest of the team kind of get back to their form. And Jamal Murray is looking back to not his former self. I think we've all known Jamal Murray as an all-star caliber player that just wasn't ever going to get the all-star nod. I don't think he's been playing quite up to that. He did just have a 55-point performance before the All-Star break. So, that's huge. And maybe it sways your opinion differently. But, like, you've definitely seen not the full version of the Jamal Murray we're used to this season. But he's definitely getting back towards that. And this is huge for this Denver Nuggets team. Do I think this Nuggets team is going to win a championship? I don't know. I don't know. That OKC team is really, really good. And, I guess the only thing is that the Nuggets have the experience of being in the playoffs multiple times, of being in the finals before. Maybe that comes to fruition, and that is a driving factor in a playoff series. Because I think right now they're the 2 seed behind the Memphis Grizzlies as well, who another team that just doesn't have a lot of experience in the playoffs with the core that they have. So maybe that experience can help this Nuggets team, and led by Nikola Jokić, win a finals. It's going to be really tough, though. It's that OKC team has a lot going for it. I just don't know if this Denver Nuggets team can really beat that. But again, when you have the best player on the floor, more times than not, you're probably going to win the game. And Nikola Jokić, again, is the best player in the entire world, I think, right now at this moment. So it's really hard to take them against anybody. It's like, you think they might go against the Lakers in the first round. Well, they've had the Lakers numbers for a couple of years now, so, whatever. They go against a Memphis team. Again, a young, inexperienced team in a playoff that are kind of having their issues. Not that they're bad, because they're a good team, but, like, trying to figure out where Ja, Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson, all these guys kind of, like, fit together. They have, like, a 12-man rotation of good players, so you got to figure out their playoff rotation and who they want getting their minutes, and you're hoping Ja can kind of insert himself back into that best player on the team conversation, because I think right now Jaren Jackson Jr. this season has been the best player on the Memphis Grizzlies. This Rockets team has really kind of struggled recently. They've been losing a lot of games. It's just they're missing that number one guy right now, and I don't know where they're going to see it. You thought maybe it was Jimmy Butler, maybe it was Devin Booker to trade deadline, even Kevin Durant's name got thrown in there, but none of that happened. Obviously, Jimmy Butler ends up going to the Golden State Warriors, and you just think that Rockets team just might not be quite ready yet. The Phoenix Suns, I don't really have a lot of faith in them. Now that the Warriors have Jimmy Butler, I still don't really have a lot of faith in them. Like, I think outside of the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Denver Nuggets are probably the second best team in the Western Conference. I know it's kind of crazy when you have Luka and LeBron on the same team, but I think it's going to take that Lakers team a year or so to kind of, like the rest of the season, kind of mesh. They still got to, get that center rotation because Alex Len is not very good. So I think that's going to be super, super huge because Jokić was dominating Anthony Davis. So I can only imagine what he's going to do to Jackson Hayes and Alex Len. So I don't know. Do I think they could win the finals? 100%. I think they have a dark horse chance to get into the finals, and then again, of course, go against probably a Cleveland team or a Boston team, maybe even a Knicks team. That would be kind of cool. A Denver Knicks matchup would be pretty cool. So our question of the day comes from Brighton Season. Can the Thunder compete for a title this year, or are they still too young and inexperienced? I'm going to say I think this is the year they could do it. Last year, they were really, really good. They kind of shocked the world last year and jumped up from a play-in team into being a top team in the conference, and they lost in the second round to a Dallas Mavericks team. This year, I think they have that under their belts. They have most likely the MVP. They have multiple All-Stars in Shea, obviously, and then J-Dub was an All-Star. Chet Holmgren looked really, really good. Now he's back from his injury. Isaiah Hartenstein filled in phenomenally. They just have a really, really good roster. They have defense. They have offense. Actually, on the season, they have the number 6 offense in the NBA, but also the number 1 defense by almost a full 4 points defense rating, 104.5, and next is the Clippers at 108.3. If you want to look at recently, the month of February, obviously the Nuggets, like I talked about, have been really, really good, but they have the number 2 offense. They went 7-1 in the month of February, and then defense is still number 2. Now the Nets technically have the number 1 defense in the month of February, 5-1. Shout out to Brooklyn Nets, I guess, so you got to take that with a grain of salt. But if you look back at even January, offensive rating for the Thunder are 7th, and defensive rating is number 2. They've just consistently been a top 5 to 10-ish offense by being the number 1 to 2 defense in the entire NBA. And we all know, Nico Harrison said it best, defense wins championships, and they have perimeter defenders, they have inside defenders, they can switch, they have everything, while also having an MVP candidate, Shea, who can shoot from the 3, get to his mid-range spots, get to the basket. He obviously gets to the foul line. Like, he can score from anywhere. You have J-Dub, a guy that can also score from anywhere. Chet Holmgren, a stretch 5. They just have so much offensive talent that gets kind of overshadowed with how good their defensive talent is. I truly think right now they are my favorites to win the finals. Obviously, the Celtics are the reigning champions, and they deserve all the respect of being able to do it again. Obviously, they haven't been quite as good as last year. They've been kind of actually struggling as of recently. But I think this Thunder team is better than the Celtics. I think this Thunder team is better than the Knicks. I think they're better than the Cavs. I think they're better than the Nuggets, like I mentioned before. I think they are the best team in the league. I know the Cavs have the best record in the league. I understand that. But I truly, truly think this OKC team is just the best, well-rounded team in the entire NBA. So I don't see why they can't do it. I appreciate you guys for watching this episode of Cloud Report. We're almost at 500 subscribers, so please just go hit that button, man. I've been having so much fun. I just put out a Nico Harrison rebuild challenge, and a lot of people really seem to love, so I appreciate that. I'll see you guys later. Peace.